What's up, guys? Doing a little bit different tutorial this time. This is actual real world stuff rather than digital. But I got these markers. Oops, bumped my little camera. I got these markers. It's a 100-pack, and I got them off of Amazon for about $40. And there's quite a few different colors in here. They're alcohol based, so they're really good. I've not used markers a lot in the past, but since I got these, I've been really impressed with how well they blend and things like that. So I've started doing more physical, traditional artwork than just the 3D stuff that you might have seen my channel have before. Now, after I got these markers, my oldest daughter, she's kind of a neat freak. She wanted to make a swatch for me, which is a really good idea. It tells you exactly what each color looks like once it's on the paper and dried, because the cap doesn't always show a good representation. For example, number 17, Pastel Pink, that's this one here. As you can see, those two colors are quite a bit different. If I was mixing colors, it looks like it should be a lot darker, but it's very pale. Can't hardly see it in the light there, but there you go. So it's the same general tone, but the marker cap shows it a lot darker. So it's good to have a swatch. So especially when you're choosing which colors you want to use to color whatever it is you're coloring. Move my mic a little closer. So what I like to do when I'm choosing colors is I call it, if it's like a flesh tone, I call it a skin blob. So I like to pick out the colors to use as a highlight, a midtone, and a shadow area. So I usually use 3 different colors. So let's see what we can choose for a skin tone. I'm going to use a very light color for my skin, and this is going to be number 25. So I'm going to find my number 25 marker. This is labeled as salmon pink. So that's going to be my highlight. It's going to be this color here. And then a little bit darker, I'm going to use 107. Let's see if I can find 107 over here. Here it is. And this one's labeled as sand. So that's going to be my mid-tone. And then for my shadow area, I want it to be a little darker, maybe with a tiny bit of a reddish tone to it. So I'm going to use this number 97 for the shadow. So if I can find that one. There it is. And this is called Rose Beige. So I've got my 3 different colors here. The number 25 is the highlight, number 7 is the midtone, and number 97 is going to be the shadow. So you can see it's a little bit lighter, or it's light, kind of middle shade, and darker. So I like to start off drawing the shadow area. So I'm going to use the broad side. These are 2 double-tipped markers. You got a fine tip and a broad tip. So I'm going to use the broad tip just to get it sketched on there. And I'm going to start off, I like to have my light source from the top right, so that means the bottom left, it's going to be the shadow area. And I'm just doing a circle, a sphere, to test out these colors. So I got my shadow, and I'm going to go and do the highlight. It doesn't matter really which order you do it, as long as you do them relatively quickly, because you want to do it while the ink is still pretty wet, so it'll blend real nicely. So I left a white circle for a shiny spot, and I colored around it for the highlight area. Oh, so now my midtone. So I'm going to use the chisel side again, and I'm going to close the gap there, and I'm going to color the blank area there, and then overlap some of that shadow area, so it'll kind of bleed together and have a nice transition, nice gradient. So there we go. So that's a pretty decent skin tone. One thing you can do to make it look even better is, I'll get into this later, perhaps in another tutorial if I make more than one. We've got highlight, midtone, and shadow. Now I'd like to have a little bit darker kind of as an outline. So I'm going to use number 94. It's a bit of a brownish red. So let's see, number 94, and it's labeled as brick brown. So this is going to be kind of my outline. So I'm just going to come down here and just outline around there. And as I get closer to the highlight, I'm going to try to lift my marker up just a bit so it's a much thinner line, and have it kind of fade out there just a bit. Okay, so we got a nice little skin tone there, or at least Caucasian skin tone. If you wanted to do African American, let's try that. Let's do a darker skin tone. So, in my experience, African Americans, there's a lot of red. Like if you have burnt sienna, then you'll want to use that. So I'm going to start off with that 97, my rose beige. That's going to be my highlight this time, and I'm going to use number 94. If I can find that one. Number 94, where are you? Did I use it already? Yeah, 94, brick brown. That's going to be my my mid-tone. And then let's see here. Let's go with number 91. It's just a little bit darker than the 94, but maybe it'll work. Let's see, 91. Where are you at? There you are. And it's labeled as natural oak. Now, speaking of different skin tones, if you want to use colored pencils or something instead of markers, Crayola actually came out with this Colors of the World, and it's got a lot of different shades of different skin tones. So you can make Caucasian, you can make African American, you can make Middle Eastern, Native American, whatever skin color you want. You can probably get a pretty close representation with these colored pencils. Now, the markers that Crayola made, they're all water-based, and I'm not a fan of water-based markers because you just can't blend them very well. But the colored pencils are pretty good. The crayons are not too bad, but as far as markers go, I like the alcohol-based ones. So, okay, so we got 3 skin tones here. So this is going to be more of an African American, maybe kind of a Middle Eastern. Let's take a peek. So we got the number 97 is the highlight, 94 is the mid-tone, and 91 is the shadow area. So I'm going to start off with the shadow area like I did with the lighter skin there. Just going to come down here and just color in my shadow side. Just like that. And then, just like I did with the other one, I'm going to color the highlight area. I'm going to use a fine tip on this one. I want that to be like that. And then my number 94 is the mid-tone. So I'll use the chisel side on this one as well. So let's fill in that white space there. It almost looks like the same color, but it's a little bit lighter. Okay, I'm going through and overlapping into the darker color so it'll blend. And I'll do the same thing with my highlight into that mid-tone. Just kind of blend it in there. See, you can see as I'm doing it that it's kind of fading into each other. So that really helps with the blending. Okay, so that second color was not, it's a little darker in real life than it is on the camera. Let me see if I can lower my exposure a little bit there. A little closer. That's a little bit. It's also a little more saturated here in the video than in real life. It's more of a brownish color, but in the video it looks like it's more of a red tint. But yeah, there's not a lot of difference between my number 91 and my number 94. So let's look at that swatch again. Like I said, this is real handy for getting different colors. And I'm going to go a little more extreme. I'm going to use this number 99. That looks quite a bit darker than the number 91. So number 99. Let's see if I can find it. 98, 99, there we go. And it's labeled as bronze. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and add the shadow area here. Yeah, that looks like that'll really help this darker skin tone out there. Okay. All right, so we got a nice darker skin tone and a lighter skin tone. Now, one thing we can do also, the 100 pack of markers that I have here did not come with a blender, but I also got another set of markers at Walmart. I think this was like $10 or $11, and it has 12 colors plus 1 blender marker. So these are pretty good quality too. They're about the same quality as the others. But the blender, let's see if I can find it. Should have had all these out ready to go. Here it is. It's just labeled as blender, BR0. I'm not sure what the R stands for, but I'm sure the B stands for blend. So now I'm going to use my wedge tip. It's just basically just an alcohol invisible marker. It's just clear. It's just alcohol in here. So you can come in here and loosen up some of the edges around colors that you want to blend together a little better. So you see here, it's kind of softening that darker edge there so I can get it a little more blended in. The one thing you might run into though is if you use too much blending, you can see it's kind of eating away some of my color. So it's kind of wiping it off. It's probably being absorbed into the tip here. So you don't want to use it too much, and it's also kind of changing the way it looks. If we zoom in here, kind of see it's kind of giving it a very mottled look about it. So to try to fix that, I'm going to go back in with my original mid-tone there, the number 107 sand. Going to come back in here. Maybe that'll clean those lines up a little bit, or that mottled texture. Okay, so there we go. This is a nice little test to see which colors are the best choice for whichever skin color you're going with, and it doesn't have to be human skin color. I like to draw Ninja Turtles, which I might draw in a future tutorial set here. So let's see what we got for the green turtle skin. Look at my swatch here. For the highlights, let's go with a real bright green. I'm going to go with number 48. So number 48, there it is. It's labeled as yellow green. There we go. So that's going to be my highlight. And then I'm going to use number 59 for my mid-tone. 59. There it is. It's labeled as pale green. And then for my darker green, let's go with this one over here, number 43. So number 43, there you are. And it's labeled as deep olive green. Okay, so now I've got my highlight, yellow green, my mid-tone, pale green. Let me move my camera back up a little bit. It's zoomed in a little too far. There we go. So I got yellow green is the highlight, pale green is the mid-tone, and deep olive green is my shadow. Alright, so let me move my swatch out of the way. Well, my heater just kicked on. Hopefully you can still hear me okay. So same thing, light from the top right, shadow on the bottom left. So I'm just going to color this nice, it's kind of a dark turquoise almost, or a teal. It's got a little bit of a blue tint to it. So I'm just going to color real loosely right there. And you know what, this time I'm going to go ahead and use the mid-tone next. Circle out where the highlight's going to go, and then just kind of fill in the rest of it and overlap into the shadow area. And the alcohol from the ink will kind of help break up the original color, the dark color, and help it to blend in with the color that I'm putting on top. Okay, and then my highlight here, I like to just draw a circle and then color around it. And just blend into the surrounding color. Just like that. Okay, and then use my blender to soften up this highlight here so it's not quite so shiny looking. There we go. Okay, so now we've got three different skin tones. We got Caucasian, African American, and then turtle. So I highly recommend doing this if you're not real familiar with coloring with markers. It's still relatively new to me. So the more practice you can get in, some of the cooler stuff you can do. So that's going to be it for this little tutorial. If I come back, which I probably will, we'll actually draw something. So this is just a good way to kind of test out your colors and blending them together. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.